Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, impeachment has begun. Impeachment has begun. Hit subscribe to this channel. Your super chat is so greatly appreciated. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Impeachment has begun. If you want to talk about this and other topics via the super chat, your support on these live streams is greatly appreciated. For the 1000th time, impeachment of President Mashed Potato Brains, our current president in the Oval Office, has begun. And the reason is because of obvious graft bribery schemes. People are giving, this is very simple. And this is why Hunter didn't want to testify. And Steve Bannon got prison time for refusing to testify. Again, Bannon got prison time for refusing to testify to Congress. So you would think that Democrats would care if a top Democrat didn't testify. Paul Bartlett, thank you so much, Paul. I cannot thank you enough for supporting this channel for so many years. Paul Bartlett in Australia. To my viewers in Australia, thank you and God bless you. Paul Bartlett, thank you so very, very much. I can't thank you enough. You would think that Democrats would want Hunter to testify. You would think that he would want to testify to circumvent any possible prison time, the same prison time that Steve Bannon was convicted of. Okay, so all throughout the Mueller probe, all we heard was if you don't testify to the Mueller committee in Congress, if you don't abide by a congressional summons to testify, if you do not abide by a congressional summons to testify, you are going to prison. I repeat, if you don't abide by a congressional summons to testify, you will go to prison. This is what we heard all throughout the Mueller probe. This is what we heard all throughout the past 7 years when Democrats utilized the United States government to go after Trump. Now the tables have turned, and Trump hasn't even yet regained the Oval Office. He will regain the Oval Office. He will. He'll regain the Oval Office. He'll win in 24. Trump is back, and there's really nothing they can do to stop Trump. There's just nothing they can do. That's a whole other story. But impeachment has begun. I know a lot of people don't really see this, but I've been telling you, ladies and gentlemen, impeachment has already started. Because the never-Trumpers also want to impeach Biden. So that's why there's no chance he's not getting impeached. He'll get impeached. Okay, and the reason is the following. Money was going through Hunter and benefiting Joe. The fact that this arrangement existed benefited Joe. He is listed within emails as receiving 10% of the proceeds of these business arrangements. That's within the laptop. They say there's no evidence. Gee, has Biden benefited? It's like, well, it's already in an email. What more do you want? It's already within an email. Lenny, thank you so very much. God bless you. Thank you. Paul Bartlett, thank you again. Kristen, hello. Jinzo, hello. So that's all we heard. And he didn't want to testify because Joe was on phone calls. Joe Biden was on phone calls with Hunter. He was aware of what was going on. I mean, you'd have to be a complete and utter imbecile not to believe, not to understand what was going on. Everyone who understands, like, you don't have to be savvy or intelligent or, knowledgeable of politics. You just have to have one functioning brain cell. That's it. People are giving money to Hunter because of Joe, who was vice president. who was very powerful. That's why he forced out a prosecutor. Helena, hello. Rod, hello. That's why Biden forced out a prosecutor and bragged and boasted about it. That's why. And they come up with all these, they twist themselves into pretzels trying to defend. Oh, well, the prosecutor wasn't really investigating that company. There's a lot of people who say that he wasn't. It's always an appeal to authority that doesn't like Trump. Peter, there will be either a prison sentence or the beginning of impeachment or both. And the beginning of impeachment has already started because of this. When you hold somebody in contempt of Congress, we see with Steve Bannon, SQ, hello, SQ. Stephen K. Bannon sentenced to 4 months in prison on 2 counts of contempt of Congress. So, he's already sentenced to 4 months in prison. Okay, that's when you're in contempt of Congress, you get sentenced to prison. Now, there's a reason that Hunter didn't want to testify. The reason is because it's obvious people were giving money for business relationships predicated upon doing business with the Bidens. That means you're not going to get investigated by law enforcement agencies, especially top officials loyal to the vice president. It's not rocket science. You don't need a memo signed by all parties, by top law enforcement officials in President Obama's administration, stating, we will not investigate Hunter since he's too close to Joe, the vice president, which would then be political fallout for President Obama. Signed, Democrats, bureau officials, intel agents, intel officials, DOJ officials, we're all going to sign this, so a fact check from the Washington Post will finally see that there's a graft and bribery scheme at play here. That's not how graft and bribery work. It's called honest graft. It's what it used to be called in Tammany Hall, honest graft. And so you have, ladies and gentlemen, an issue. The issue is everyone knows. Dave, hello. Yeah, I was taking about 4 or 5 months off, pretty much, doing videos here and there. But now I'm doing 2 live streams a day and an upload, and I'm going to build the stock market crash channel and the Bitcoin crash channel. Unfortunately, I do think there's going to be a terrible market crash. But yeah, I'm building the channel back. We're going to get hopefully to 300,000 and beyond subscribers this year. Dave, hello. Thank you again for watching. The way Democrats engage in bribery and graft is the following, okay? They will bend the law or break the law, but they'll have overwhelming media support and people within the Department of Justice, the Bureau, people like Brennan and Clapper, and high-level officials who will look the other way. Thank you so much, Dave. Who will look the other way when a person like Hunter is making a great deal of money. Now, on the surface, Hunter might not be giving classified top secret intelligence, but there's something called a honeypot, which he is almost certainly the focus of by numerous countries. This is not rocket science. Okay, this is the Soviets and every people have been doing this since biblical times. Okay, I mean, there are a lot of Democrats too in Congress. Okay, a lot of Democrats in Congress, I mean, even Republicans too. There's something called pillow talk. Also, they either fall in love or have a romantic relationship, or a romantic business relationship, let's just say, with an operative, a very attractive, beautiful foreign operative or spy. It's not difficult to understand. Okay, when Hunter is spending $700,000 to $800,000 on, let's just say, ladies who will provide him a service, there are numerous ways to derive intelligence. Okay, numerous ways to derive intelligence. This isn't rocket science. And there was also likely a whole bunch of classified data floating around that might have helped Hunter's business deals. That's according to Ted Cruz and others. So this is not rocket science. I mean, you're a national security threat when you're engaging in that type of behavior, buying illegal narcotics. Who do you think is supplying Hunter with the illegal narcotics? Do you think it's a local business person, quote unquote? Do you think maybe it's somebody with ties to, other countries that want information? This isn't rocket science. You don't have to be some kind of high level security law enforcement official, intel agent. You just read books. This is a situation where Democrats have private servers. Clinton has private servers running with top secret intel on them. The entire planet not only has the classified data, but it's like the security breaches from Democrats are biblical, monumental, beyond belief, and they get away with it because they have high-level officials say, they didn't mean to do it, Then they get Trump for the Presidential Records Act, which doesn't even have an enforcement clause. The Presidential Records Act doesn't even have the ability to enforce any type of prison sentence. So then what they do is then they accuse Trump of owning this and that. And oh my God. And it's like, well, the average day in President Obama's administration, just looking at private servers and looking at Hunter flying around the world and buying and, the services of others and buying illegal narcotics, it's like you couldn't get greater security breaches. You couldn't even imagine. The Roman Empire, during its downfall, had less security breaches than the average day in President Obama's administration. I mean, you could count the ways. Hunter, Clinton's laptop, or servers, Hunter's laptop. They can't type an email. They can't open a computer without a monumental security breach. By the way, I still think Hillary Clinton's going to be the either the nominee or the eventual. She'll be opposite Trump in 2024 for Democrats. I do think that there's no stopping Trump. Haha, Guitar Dog, hello. And so you look, ladies and gentlemen, and Bannon was already, this is the email, by the way, if you want to talk, when people say, Lord, what is this? Are you kidding me? Okay. When people people look and they say, gosh, I just don't see any evidence. It's right there. Joe already met Hunter's business associates, and there was an email by the number 3 executive, advice on how you can use your influence. And then Joe Biden forces out a prosecutor. It's not rocket science. It is not rocket science. This is not difficult. Even Democrats, but see, Democrats are not given, like, nobody reads these emails with it. They don't even know what the Steele dossier is. The average morally superior, highly, like, okay, Bill Maher, very intelligent man. What amazing, wonderful comedian. Okay, great comedian. Doesn't know what the Steele dossier is. Doesn't know who within the DOJ was part of investigating Trump and the Steele dossier and all of that. And basically 2 people in particular who were fired. Doesn't care. Doesn't know the text messages where you had bureau officials saying they want to stop Trump. Doesn't know any of it. Doesn't know that Clinton was fined by the FEC for purchasing the dossier. Doesn't care. They don't know what the Steele dossier is. But then they just talk about how corrupt Trump is. They don't realize that these are emails right here showing that Joe knew everything. Joe Biden knew everything. Obviously. This was before, like, the cognitive meltdown. D'Artagnan! Thank you, D'Artagnan. Valentino, thank you. Happy New Year to you. So, it's right there. I mean, this is a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where everyone knows what's going on. Everyone knows what's going on. This isn't rocket science. Everyone knows what's going on. Okay? I mean, here you have a Daily Mail article. Joe Biden is literally named in a conference call. I mean, it's not difficult to understand. He knew, not only did he know everything, did he meet people, was he a part of calls, but the graft and bribery doesn't work without Joe. So there you go. Exactly. Retribution 24. Exactly. You have a situation, people, where this is like nothing is stopping Trump in 24. There's nothing that's going to stop Trump in 24. Okay? The only thing Democrats and media can do is they have 2 choices. They can focus on Biden's policies and how good the economy is and what he's done for the country and the world. Okay, that's actually a joke. I just told a joke. Okay, so they can focus on his accomplishments, which are pretty much non-existent. Okay, he took a country that was on the rebound and corporate profits went up, but at the expense of, a stock market bubble. And we're always talking about recession because the economy isn't good. Because Democrats have pumped trillions and trillions into projects that don't help the economy. That's why we keep talking about recession. Okay? That's why you have, major retail chains going out of business even though consumer spending is good. That's why you have interest rates through the roof while inflation is kind of subsided, but not really, for food and other items that you need every day. So there are a lot of contradictions within this economy. And then the world is completely, the second that Biden defeated Trump, I said there's going to be a major global conflict, and there was. It's not difficult to kind of see what was taking place. That's not a difficult thing to do. Okay? Democrats, they govern through media. They govern through media and bizarre ideology, and now you're seeing all this. The ideology is being dismantled. All these Ivy League professors are resigning. Why are they resigning? Why did the Penn and the Harvard professors, why were they forced to resign? Or the presidents? Because their ideology could not be defended, or they were embarrassed to just state very simple things because they didn't want to offend the ideologues that helped them get into power. Then they say, oh, I misspoke. Gosh, I misspoke. Yeah, that's really bad. But you didn't say that it was categorically terrible and against university policy. If you called someone overweight, that could be viewed in today's world as an abomination. But after October, you have all of these left-leaning organizations on university campuses, and it's the same. It could be within a paradigm of political discussion. It's like a mathematical formula. They will always take one side and oppose another side. And Elise Stefanik is amazing. She simply asked, well, do you condemn something that the entire planet condemns? Especially when the left has utilized the 1930s and 1940s Germans as the basis of their opposition and resistance to Trump and to the right wing and conservatives. You see how they butcher and mangle history? It's unbelievable. They utilize the unimaginable barbarism and suffering and atrocities and the unspeakable crimes against humanity found in history, suffered by certain groups. And then they use that emotion to fuel their warped and twisted ideology, which is basically a pseudo-religion. And then when they're directly confronted with the unspeakable pain and suffering and unimaginable evil and barbarism and destruction and lives lost, millions of lives lost from the 1930s and 1940s Germans, when they're finally actually confronted in Congress, do you condemn this? Do you condemn this mentality? Well, it depends on the context. Oh, really? What context is what context is it okay in? Well, if you were to say that someone is overweight, that would be against the rules. But you know what? I have to really think about it more. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So you have a very warped and twisted worldview. And then they resign. Then they're forced to resign. Well, this was a complete. My words were twisted. I of course I condemn this. Yeah. It's like, nah. You pick. One thing about the left is that no matter what the morality of the situation is, no matter what the context, no matter what the reality or the facts are, they will pick the side they feel is the weaker side, or they'll always think that David, interestingly enough, they were against that side during the congressional hearings, but they'll pick David over Goliath. If there's a Goliath and a David in a situation, they'll pick the weaker party, or the side that they feel has been doesn't have the same type of power in that moment. They will ignore every single possible context, or they will ignore the entire reality of the situation, and they will then yell and scream and demonstrate, and sometimes it's justified. I can't say that left-leaning demonstrations are never justified. Sometimes they are. But in this case, after October, you see college campuses completely ignoring what took place against women. And that's another thing. Feminism is thrown, that whole ideology is thrown right out the window when it's either Sarah Palin or, women that have a different viewpoint or live in a different country that you don't like. And so they pick and choose the sacred cows. And I'm speaking in an algorithmically friendly manner. But that's the way the left works. I was on the left my whole life. Look, I've seen arguments between friends on different Medicare for all single payer proposals, or like basically imaginary plans that really haven't been proposed to Congress, but linked to certain, like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. Which is better? Which single payer plan is better? You might as well have played Dungeons and Dragons and pretended you were like some kind of magic magician, and you fought this warrior, and then the dragon shows up. You might as well just have played Dungeons and Dragons with a bunch of like dice. That would have been actually more realistic than two progressives debating Medicare for all, which will never in a million billion years happen through the Democratic Party, as they vote Democrat eventually because they think that Medicare for all will probably happen one day, because AOC 50 years from now will finally write a bill that they wouldn't even, when AOC, Micro Blue, hello, thank you. When AOC helped write the, who knows how much she helped write the Green New Deal, they didn't even vote for it. This is the thing, it's all emotion. Florida Man Bear, hello. It's all emotion. Like, well, we have 12 years left. We have 12 years left, okay? You don't have the right. I'm like, well, are you going to vote for it? No. What do you mean? I thought you said we had 12 years left. I thought you said we had 12 years left on the planet. Oh, well, it's just an estimate, but, it's just to get people going. And then media is like, this is really good. It's a really good thing that AOC did. They wouldn't even vote. Even Mitch McConnell, like, I'll call your bluff. I'll call your bluff. Everybody voted for the Green New Deal. Nobody on the left is talking about single payer. Nobody is talking about banning fracking. Nobody is talking about any of these things. These are completely failed, miserably failed ideologies that are used simply to deceive the left. Is there anyone on the left talking about Medicare for all or single payer? Anyone? Is there any politician? I thought that was one of the biggest things that we have, the biggest problems we have is healthcare. I thought that it was a moral issue. And then you have other countries have that. Yeah, other countries don't have 330 plus million people. And they don't have Democrats and Republicans sending Americans to never-ending military conflict, or sending, soldiers to never-ending military conflict, like Bush, like Kerry, like Biden, like Hillary, like Democrats and Republicans did. Then Trump came in, and he's like, wrong, 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 wrong. And they said, oh my God. And then you get these dumb photos where the liberals and the never Trumpers, I love these photos, where they have President Obama and Clinton and President Obama and Clinton and George W. Bush. And then they wheel in Jimmy Carter, and they're so happy. And they're like, this is our club. Trump isn't a part of it because he's Trump. And the rest of humanity is like, yeah, that's why we like Trump. That's why we like Trump, because he's not going to send Americans to never-ending military conflict like you did. Or he's not going to preside over a catastrophe in terms of the economy like Carter did. There's a reason Carter was a one-term president, okay? There's a reason that nobody can really, tell you any long-term legacy of what's President Obama's long-term legacy? You can say the ACA, okay. Other than that, anything else? Foreign policy destroyed Libya, and then George W. Bush's long-term legacy was starting an era of never-ending military conflict. So there you go. Nobody's talking about packing the courts, doing away with the filibuster, all of these little pet projects that Democrats had. I mean, it's like, thank you, Paul, thank you. I mean, I remember, it's on the left, you can just, it's a type of religion. It's not the left in the United States. There is no left. Okay. It's a religion where at the end of the day, the main church is the Democratic Party. Lenny, thank you. Exactly. They choose their sacred cows depending on the moment. There in the New York Times, there was a feminist who said, you know what? I'd still vote for Bill Clinton because of this, this, and that. And it's like, okay. So it's just a matter of political power. That's it. And then when Trump wins again, oh my God. How many more screeches and wailing and yelling and screaming can you, like, how many more expressions of discontent can you can you experience? I mean, it's never going to end. Can you imagine after 7 years? Can you imagine after 7 years, Trump comes back into the Oval Office? Yeah. Oh my God, the best. He comes back and that night, be here. Oh my, every day is gravitated towards, for me, that every day is one day closer to the ultimate middle finger, the galactic middle finger, the intergalactic planetary middle finger that all the cosmos, the entire universe will see, called Trump second term. Yes, I love it. The lectures, Trump is, and the authoritarians and despots of years past, blah, blah, blah. As they censor and try to go after their direct political rivals and do everything. Can you imagine that cousin or that friend or that family member or that coworker or that person that you know That one individual who every single holiday dinner, and it could be wonderful people too. It could be wonderful people. To my super chat, thank you again. Paul Bartlett, thank you. It could be wonderful people. How many people do you know? How many people do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that have ruined family dinners? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Do you know anyone that ruined dinner or a family event spouting nonsense about Trump? Do you know anyone, ladies and gentlemen, that ruined dinner or a family event spouting nonsense about Trump? Well, that's good. I'm glad. Oh, I know what? I'm glad a lot of people don't. But it's like everyone knows an individual that's devoted his or her life to just despising Trump. Paul, thank you so much. Esmeralda! Esmeralda Real, thank you. Please, everyone, stop calling them Democratic Party. We know they are not Democrat. They are not Democrat parties. That's right. Okay, the Democrat Party. You're right, Esmeralda. Thank you. You're right. The Democrat Party is not going to be. I don't know how they're going to come to terms with. Thank you so much, very much, Esmeralda. Greatly appreciate it. To my super chat, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know how they're going to come to terms with Trump. I don't know how they're going to come to terms with Trump winning again. I just don't know. I mean, I just don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting. Really interesting. Will there be a resistance? Who knows? I mean, they always come up with these like, oh, it's the resistance. We're resisting Trump. Like, well, there goes norms and traditions. Jordan! Jordan, thank you. There goes norms and traditions with Democrats with a resistance towards a president that the entire country chose. Then they say the popular vote. Jordan, thank you again. Esmeralda, thank you. Then they say, well, it's the popular vote. The popular vote. It's like, well, you're not going to get the popular vote if you have no media coverage. You have no media coverage. Like, only negative media coverage. Trump had only negative media coverage. So, how on earth are you going to, how on earth are you, and you still, by the way, Exactly, Rob. Exactly. Jinzo, 10 lifelong friends disowned me. 10 lifelong friends disowned me because of my sin of voting for Trump. My sin, my great sin. And then when Trump wins again, it will be just the most amazing political retribution. Peaceful and political retribution. Peaceful and political. So you have, and we always heard, well, if you have nothing to hide, why not testify to Congress? Well, why didn't Hunter? Gee, well, maybe because there's a bribery scheme. Also, during the whole Clinton email, none of them showed up for congressional testimony. The only person to ever really get prison time in recent memory is Steve Bannon. Exactly, Jordan. Exactly. They all know. Everyone who dislikes Trump knows that the experiment called mashed potato brains, our president, currently isn't working. I mean, Joe Biden, his administration, his presidency is the epitome of the phrase, be careful what you wish for. Okay? I mean, the United States political establishment was stomping their feet and every single day in such outrage and mania and in such an apoplectic frenzy against Trump. We had a great economy and a great foreign policy. First president to step foot in North Korea. Better than anything Biden has ever done. Biden has, if he steps foot just forward, that's a good thing. But there's nothing like I want to know what Biden has done. What's his lasting legacy? We had the Abraham Accords with Trump, which is linked to exactly what took place in a roundabout way because certain countries don't want that to take place. We had the first president to step foot in North Korea. He removed Americans from an endless conflict in Afghanistan, something Biden would never have done in a million years. That is, by the way, a liberal viewpoint. The liberals or progressives left-leaning today are not really left-leaning. So, the tribalism was unbelievable. The tribalism. I've had people that I never expected would become such ideologues, and they just, canceled me like a show, like a subscription. I always viewed friendship to be, you treat others the way you want to be treated. That you don't put politics above friendship. But what they did was they infused morality. They disliking Trump became a moral endeavor. And so they convinced themselves that Trump was the embodiment of evil, and therefore anyone who supported him was aiding and abetting this vicious person. When in reality, it was the media mania over Trump was completely fabricated, contrived. If they had treated any Democrat in the manner they treated Trump, that person wouldn't have a political career. They lied routinely every single day about Trump's words. Nobody defended Trump in media. And I mean, it's like some of the things, fine. Some of the things Trump did to himself, it's true. It wasn't like, it was maybe 85 or 90% media, 10% his communication style as president through Twitter wasn't good. The Twitter thing, Twitter was his undoing at the end. At the end of his tenure, Twitter was his undoing. But you had people who, and again, when you debate a liberal Democrat or progressive or left-leaning person that despises Trump, and you say, well, the Steele dossier was purchased to deliberately undermine his presidency, they won't know what the Steele dossier is. If you say, well, there were text messages from top officials in intel agencies saying they wanted to stop Trump, if you explain that media lied every single day, if you explain that he didn't say those things within the context of they're accusing him of, if you explain these things, if you say we had a great economy, record low poverty, what could be more important to a left-leaning person than record low poverty? That's the primary selling point of being a Democrat, that you care about poor people. We had less poor people with Trump, but they don't care. It's their sports team. It's the tribalism that we saw from people who you would think would put family or friendship over politics it's unbelievable. And then they're going to have to deal with 4 years of Trump again. Think about that. The same people who made categorical statements. Exactly, Rob, exactly. The same people who made categorical statements where, Trump is the embodiment of evil. Then why was he a second-term president? Because he's going to become president again. Nothing short of, God forbid, the unimaginable can stop that. And everyone knows this, especially also, unfortunately, and I don't want this to happen, unfortunately, there will be a stock market crash, and it will be directly linked, and I'm working on getting an article published. It'll be directly linked to the shutdowns pushed, once again, by Democrats. Pushed by Democrats. The same people who despised Trump were also the same people who said you couldn't work if you didn't do a whole bunch of things, or you just couldn't work. They don't have Twitter anymore, X. They don't have Sam Bankman-Fried's $20 million, $40 million plus dollars anymore. So they don't have any of these advantages anymore. Plus, he's up in the polls. And when they convict him, he'll be up even more. So he'll be up even more after they convict him. Hello, hello. And so it'll be very interesting this entire year. I think that, today this was a story that I don't think many people really put two and two together. Even I kind of almost wasn't going to do the video. But when you think about it, I mean, I was going to do a live stream, but it's not like everyone is saying, okay, Hunter's going to get held in contempt. When the contempt, the impeachment is on its way. Let's put it that way. JPAT, hello. The impeachment is already begun. You have Biden getting impeached. because of obvious graft and bribery that the entire planet knows is taking place. It's pretty much game over. So they're going to have, I mean, honestly, if it's Trump Biden, because it'll be Trump, whether they, you know, pass the baton to somebody else, I think that Hillary Clinton, I can't imagine Hillary Clinton not being there. I just can't imagine it. You get all of media saying the same thing, and, you know, the freak, hello. Thank you, DeFreak. Thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated. I don't see them. They have to find an alternative. They'll get Biden to resign. They'll have to find an alternative. I just do not see. I just don't see. I don't see them. I don't see Democrats staying with mashed potato brains. I just don't see that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. Be here tonight at around 10 p.m. Pacific. I will have a live stream at around 10 p.m. Pacific, everybody. And be here. And God bless you all. Thank you, everybody. And be here for the live stream, 10 p.m. Pacific time. To my super chat, thank you so very much. Paul Bartlett, have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening. Thanks, everybody. And to my super chat, thank you so much. Esmeralda, everybody here. Thanks, everybody.